Give Andy Ruiz the credit he deserves, man. I've seen some people make a whole heap of excuses for AJ, saying he was distracted, he wasn't himself, he was thinking about other things. Some people even trying to say that AJ was drugged, like somebody spiked his water. Listen, I can't tell you for certain that there weren't certain factors that might have negatively affected AJ, but how do you know that there weren't certain factors that negatively affected Andy Ruiz? Andy Ruiz was a massive underdog in this fight. Andy Ruiz was brought there to lose. That's what he was supposed to do. That's what the script was. Yeah, the fight was in the United States, and people saying, well, you know, that could have affected AJ. Yeah, it could have affected him. But that was a matchroom show. That wasn't like AJ fighting in the Lion's Den against Andy, you know, in front of Andy Ruiz's people. No, that was a matchroom show organized by Eddie Hearn. Even the security was the security, the British security that normally works at matchroom shows, at Anthony Joshua shows. So as much pressure as AJ had, as much things as he had to deal with, look at Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz is like 6 feet tall. I mean, he's not just a little bit overweight. He's obese. And I mean that, you know, with no disrespect. I'm just being real. He's obese. He's 6 feet tall. Joshua's 6'6". Joshua has all the most sophisticated and scientific training methods, you know, the best nutrition, the best of everything. Andy Ruiz don't have none of that. Think of all the advantages that AJ had over Andy Ruiz going into the fight. Never mind the advantages Ruiz had over AJ. The only real advantage Ruiz had over AJ was not having all the pressure on his back. That's it. Other than that, AJ had every advantage in the fight. Height, reach, you know? Even to some extent, professional experience, because although Ruiz had more fights, AJ had been in there with a much higher caliber of opposition. So AJ had all the advantages going into the fight, and Ruiz overcame all that. Not only that, Ruiz got knocked down in the fight. In that third round, when he got clipped with that left hook, many fighters would have given in mentally at that point. Look how Charles Martin reacted when AJ dropped him like that. Charles Martin was like a deer in the headlights. He couldn't recover mentally from being dropped, from being hit that hard. Andy Ruiz recovered instantly. Andy Ruiz got up off the floor. AJ came at him, throwing all his biggest punches, all the heavy artillery. Andy Ruiz was covering up, ducking underneath the shots and countering with the heart of a warrior. And great technique, by the way. So let's not focus completely on what went wrong with AJ. Yeah, certain things may have gone wrong, but the emphasis needs to be what went right for Andy Ruiz. What things did he do which allowed him to win the fight? Andy Ruiz, we all know, has got very fast hands, counter punches very well on the front foot, picks his punches very well, has good positioning, so he stalks you, keeps himself in good position, defensively and offensively, good balance. Very sharp mentally, knows when to punch. Jabs well, you know, he was using an educated jab to the head and body. Clearly very mentally strong. Very good chin. Good powers of recovery. You know, it didn't take him 3 rounds to recover from being dropped like it did AJ. And we've seen that with AJ before. We certainly saw it in the Klitschko fight. It took him several rounds to recover. Whereas with Andy Ruiz, instantaneous recovery. So let's give Andy Ruiz credit. Let's not overlook the guy because he's overweight. No, the guy can fight and he deserves maximum credit. And at the end of the day, you know, I've seen some people saying, well, AJ's a hype job and he never could fight and he was garbage, and, you know, repeating all the same kind of stuff that Deontay Wilder's saying. Again, that's taking credit away from Andy Ruiz. Yes, it is. This is the guy that Andy Ruiz beat. This guy right here. That's who Andy Ruiz just beat. You compare AJ's first 20, well, let's say 22 fights, because the 23 would have included Miller. Let's compare AJ's first 22 fights to the first 22 fights of Deontay Wilder. It's no comparison. You know, this Anthony Joshua was unified world heavyweight champion, beat people like Povetkin, Parker, Takam, Klitschko, Molina, Brazil, Charles Martin, Dylan White, who's one of the top contenders right now. Look who Wilder was fighting in his first 22. Nobody. You could scarcely find a heavyweight with a weaker first 22 fights than Deontay Wilder in the top 10. And this guy, Wilder, is running around talking about AJ was a hype job, he never was a true champion. AJ had a much better resume in his first 22 than Deontay Wilder did, and that's who Andy Ruiz beat. He beat a good man, a reigning champion, a unified champion, a young guy in his prime. That's who Andy Ruiz beat. Give Andy Ruiz the credit for what he's done, for what he's accomplished, becoming the first Mexican world heavyweight champion for his country, for his family, for his people. All these guys turning down the AJ fight, from Kaunaki turning it down, Luis Ortiz turning it down, Wilder turning it down. Tyson Fury had the opportunity, if he wanted to sign with Matchroom, to fight AJ. All these people didn't do what Andy Ruiz did do. And it's as if some of these guys are trying to take credit for what Ruiz did. Like Wilder's running around saying, see, blah, 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 as if he's the one who beat Anthony Joshua. No, Deontay, you had your opportunity to get in there and beat Joshua. You didn't take it. Ruiz took it. So let's give Ruiz credit. Let's put the credit where it is supposed to be put, right? With Andy Ruiz. Guy deserves a massive amount of credit. I don't want to hear none of these funny style excuses that AJ was drugged or this, that, and the other. Look, it's kind of like when Vladimir Klitschko was beaten by Lamont Brewster. He claimed he was drugged, that the water was spiked or something like that. Look, I know that strange things go on behind the scenes in boxing, and I'm not going to pretend as though a situation like that couldn't happen, but there'd be no excuse for it happening in this situation because it was a Matchroom show. You had Matchroom security. Well, I forget the actual name of the security, but they're the security team that always work Matchroom shows. They were there. The place was full of Brits. You're trying to tell me they can't get Anthony Joshua some water in there or whatever, which has been cleared by, Hearn and whoever else? Trying to say the guy was drugged? Come on, there's no excuse. It's your show. And even if there was some shenanigans, AJ managed to drop Andy Ruiz. Right? He boxed cautiously for a couple rounds, came inside, landed a big left hook, dropped him. But then he went in for the finish. Ruiz caught him. He underestimated how dangerous Ruiz was in that situation. Or maybe he did, maybe he didn't, to be fair. Maybe he was just anxious. I don't know. Whatever. But the point is, Ruiz reacted in a way which was admirable. From a technical point of view, being able to duck AJ shots when he'd just been buzzed, when he'd just been dropped. Andy Ruiz, getting off the floor, from a technical point of view, being able to duck the punches and come back with fast counters. In a situation like that shows tremendous heart. It shows tremendous poise, tremendous technique. So let's give credit where credit is due, and that is to Andy Ruiz. It's his moment. It's not about AJ. It's not about Wilder. It's not, you see, these people are running around acting like this is a victory for Wilder. No, Deontay Wilder is so dumb that he's happy to lose a fortune. He just seen a fortune go down the drain. Deontay Wilder didn't win anything, nor his fans. The majority of them being idiots. Andy Ruiz won something. If you want to say Al Heyman won, hell yes, Al Heyman won. This is a huge win for Al Heyman. Al Heyman now has all the heavyweight belts. Huge win for Al Heyman, and a massive blow to Eddie Hearn, a massive blow to the Zone, and a huge, huge advantage for PBC and Al Heyman. So yes, it's definitely a win for Al Heyman, but more than anything, it's a massive win for Andy Ruiz, for his life, for the Mexican people, and maybe he can go on to become a big pay-per-view star. Because Andy Ruiz has that everyman vibe about him. When people look at him, they think, well, he looks like a friend I know. He looks like the guy from down the road. He looks like my brother, my uncle, you know? And with that kind of everyman image that he has, he's going to be able to connect to a lot of people. Yeah, he might not have the women on his side the way Canelo does. And that's a big deal in terms of box office appeal. Same with AJ, right? One of the reasons that AJ was so popular is because not only did he have a lot of male boxing fans, but he brought the female boxing fans in. Canelo does the same thing, brings all these female fans in. Ruiz may not be able to bring the female fans in, excuse me, but because he's such an everyman, because he's, comes across as just a nice, humble Mexican kid who doesn't look like an athlete, that appeals to a lot of people, So maybe he can become a pay-per-view star. And again, that's a huge deal for Al Heyman, a huge deal for Showtime. I mean, Showtime must be celebrating right now. Fox must be celebrating, whichever network is going to get Andy Ruiz as unified champion. So yeah, a big win for Al Heyman, Fox, Showtime. Big win for Andy Ruiz, the biggest of all wins for Andy Ruiz. So let's give credit where credit is due. He is now the man in the heavyweight division, Andy Ruiz, after that win, because he did what the other guys weren't willing to do, which is get in the ring with AJ. So give him the credit. Yeah? Massive props to Andy Ruiz. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Really, really nice guy. Really honest fighter, has put himself forward to fight the top guys for years. Yeah, Ruiz has been wanting to fight Deontay Wilder. He's been wanting to fight Anthony Joshua. He's put himself out there and said he'd fight, Tyson Fury or whoever else. So, big credit to the guy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.